Steph Wood is a singer-songwriter from Sydney who recently released her self-titled debut EP, which is a collection of 5 songs that are heartfelt, sometimes sad, and all memorable. And I'm going to talk to her about this EP and other things. Hi, Steph.
Hi.
Great to meet you, because I've been so enjoying listening to the EP, but I was interested to discover that you really only started releasing music last year, from what I can tell, and therefore you have not wasted any time releasing this EP. When did you write the first song for it?
Yeah, I only released my first song in, I think, May last year, so it's been very quick. But I wrote the first song, I think the first song I wrote was My Good Friend, and I wrote that in 2019, actually. I wrote My Good Friend and Stranger in 2019, and then the rest were a later addition in my songwriting.
So My Good Friend is about losing a friend, actually, and that person having moved away from you and wishing that you could see them again. And it's a common experience. It sounds like it happened to you, but was it inspired by something quite close to 2019 or something from the past?
Yeah, it was. Being super close to someone and then them, not being around anymore, you do kind of feel like you're mourning a friend, even if they're still alive. But yeah, it did happen, I think, 2018, 2019. So it was a very real thing that was based off.
So I know some songwriters would say they use songwriting as therapy, at least in part, not necessarily all the songs, but do you feel like for you, writing that song helped you manage what had happened in that situation?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the time when I write, I will start writing whatever it is, and then once I've finished the song, I can see what's come out, and I feel like, I feel like I needed to say that, but I didn't know how to do it. And the song is kind of like the vessel for that. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's nice.
Well, and it must be nice, because it must feel like almost like a little gear change. Like, okay, that part's done. I'm changing. I'm moving to the next phase of my life.
Definitely. I feel like if you've gone through something and you haven't written a song about it yet, like it's not done yet. You haven't processed it yet, at least for me anyway. Like once I've written the song and it's done, I'm like, okay, can move on.
Do you feel like you have to let it marinate for a while before you write the song, though? Like if you need to process something, it's like I just need it to sit for a while, or do you tend to go straight for the voice memo or whatever to document it?
No, I definitely let it sit. I can't write about things that I'm going through right then and there. It's usually a matter of months or sometimes weeks, but usually a few months after, when I can kind of get a little bit more clarity on the situation, and then that's when I can write it. I feel like I have nothing to say if I do it right then and there, like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, right. Well, that's good, because it means you're not using your songs like a journal in that case. You're actually writing songs to write songs.
Yeah. I definitely, I do journal a lot, and I do use it as a therapeutic way, but it's not how I'm feeling right then in the second, usually.
Right. Now, you have actually undertaken formal study in songwriting. You have a degree in songwriting and music. And I was also surprised to read that you didn't seem to have been a songwriter at the time you started studying songwriting in a very formal capacity. So what prompted that decision to study?
Yeah, it was kind of it was odd. I went to uni for music because I really wanted to start a career in music, and I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't have any friends that were into music either, so I wasn't in that world. So I thought studying music would be a great way to meet people and, find some other musicians and whatnot. And I started my degree just as a music degree and majoring in singing. But as time went on through my degree, I learned more about songwriting, and I realized, if you want to be an artist, you need to write songs. And it sounds silly, but I didn't really know that. I just was a complete rookie. I was like, I like singing. I want to be a singer. So I decided to change to the songwriting degree, and that's where I wrote my first song when I was at uni. It was for one of my assignments, and I ever since then I just kept writing and writing and writing, and I'm so grateful I found it now. But I really wish I had picked it up a really long time ago, like when I was younger. but it is what it is.
Well, but I'm going to have to say it doesn't sound silly that you didn't know that, because how could you have known it? You just said you didn't have any friends who were into music. Like, doing the degree was a way for you to find out more about music. There are so many strands of being an artist. You could have just played guitar. You could have been a singer alone and had that as your instrument. So yeah, I think it's perfectly normal to not know that. But I am wondering if you had done any other kind of writing before you started that. Were you someone who loved writing poetry at school, for example, or short stories?
I wasn't, no. I'd never written anything, nothing even close to a song or poetry or anything nice and creative. I wasn't a writer at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So once you started writing lyrics, did you feel like you had to do sort of other study in terms of writing things, or was it such a discipline in and of itself that it was like, okay, I'm just studying this?
Absolutely. And that's something that I'm still working on. I'm still going back and making sure I'm researching and studying all the greatest songwriters and figuring it out how they did it and whatnot. And it's definitely something I wish I have picked up before, because I would have had so much more knowledge and so much more time to, do it all. But yeah, I'm definitely, once I started writing, I realized how amazing and important it is as well. And I definitely, that was the beginning of my deep dive into, artists I like, and also just songwriters in general.
So which artists did you deep dive into, or who do you think's influenced you the most?
I love Brandy Carlisle and her writing, and I know she doesn't write all of her songs, but like her little writing camp, I love the way they write, and I definitely did a deep dive into her. I went and did a big research into Phoebe Bridgers. When she released her first album, I really learned a lot, I think, from her songwriting. Who else? Sharon Van Etten. I really researched her when in lockdown. She was like my person that I was looking into. But yeah, now I'm still, I've got a big list of people that I need to go, like the great ones and the ones that aren't so modern. I still need to get around to them.
So as you were growing up and discovering how much you loved music, were there different artists at that time who you loved or who were influential on you?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up a lot listening to the Rolling Stones, Jack Johnson, but also like Paramore and bands like that I used to love when I was younger. And I do think now that like the Rolling Stones definitely would have had an influence on me, listening to, kind of that older style music, I think can sometimes come through in my music. And it's not just because I did also listen to like Hannah Montana and stuff growing up. So it's not where all my inspiration comes from, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's all, it is popular music for a reason. The structure of that music, the way the melodies work, all those sorts of things, they resonate with a lot of people. So I think, Hannah Montana / Miley Cyrus, very good education to have.
Yeah, I did my research on her when I was young.
So the structure of that degree, I guess, because you set assignments and all those sorts of things, did you feel that was helpful to propel you to start writing songs, or was it confining at any stage, thinking, I really don't want to have to have this in on time?
I feel like for me, it was really helpful, like being a complete rookie with it. Sometimes some weeks we'd have to hand in a song each week, and it would have to have there were different rules for each. So some were like, oh, you can only use 3 chords. Some has to be about the color blue or whatever it was. And I feel like it was a really good lesson to learn how to just finish a song and hand it in, even if, you were stuck on it and you were thinking, oh, I don't know where to go, but you kind of had to finish it. So I think for me, it was really helpful because I've ended up writing a lot of songs. And I think if I had not had the pressure of having to hand it in, I wouldn't have finished them, because it's kind of what I do now. If I don't love a song, or if I feel like it's not going anywhere, I'm in the bad habit of just leaving it and never looking at it again. So I do think it helps having that structure. Yeah.
And were any of the songs that are on the EP written during that time you're at university, or written as an assignment even?
Yeah, Stranger was written as an assignment, and My Good Friend was written when I was at uni, but the others were later. But yeah, those two I wrote. I don't think My Good Friend was for an assignment. I know Stranger definitely was, but yeah.
Fantastic. Well, by the time you went to study music, you obviously were already playing and singing. So I'm wondering when that part of your life started. So was it an instrument that came first, or was it singing?
It was singing. Yeah, I've sang my whole life ever since I was little. I just loved it so much. And when I was really young, I did singing lessons and whatnot, but I didn't, take it too seriously. I just really enjoyed it. My dad bought me a guitar when I was like 14, and he taught me a few chords, but it kind of sat in the corner of my room collecting dust until I went back to uni and was like, oh, I need to continue practicing. So it was definitely singing for me, and guitar is coming to me now. I'm still learning and trying to become a better guitarist for sure.
And did you find that through the degree as well, you were able to develop the guitar more, or was that more vocal focused?
No, it definitely helped me develop my guitar. I used to not really play guitar in front of anyone. I was just too scared. I would always just sing, and I'd get a friend to play guitar. But when I was at uni, we started going to open mic nights regularly, and there I did learn how to play guitar and sing at the same time, and just kind of, being in a way forced to do it, which I loved. I'm so grateful now, because I can't even imagine singing without a guitar now. It's crazy. Yeah.
Is there a point at which that clicked for you and you thought, oh yeah, I prefer this now?
100%. My old housemate used to say, because he was the one that I used to make him play for me. I was like, can you please play? And it came to a point where he was like, Steph, you need to start playing on your own. And at the time I was like, oh, you're annoying. I'm so glad he did. Because then once I got comfortable with that, I felt like it was just way more me. I felt like I could really get into the song a lot more than standing on a stage and singing.
Now the EP is self-titled, as I mentioned, and the songs have a through line of heartache, I think, if not heartbreak. But I did read that you like sad girl music. So has this been a long-term thing?
It has. I love sad music. I just love music that has big emotions in it. It definitely wasn't a planned thing. I don't plan to write a collection of songs that are sad to put them together. It just so happened that the ones I picked for my EP are all sad.
Because it sounds like you would have had a few to choose from, because as you said, you've been writing a lot for uni. So did you have a feeling for what you wanted, or did you actually sit down with the songs you had and think, okay, I'm going to choose, I have to make a decision here?
I kind of had a feeling. I really wanted to include Stranger and My Good Friend, because they were some of the first songs I'd ever written. And then I felt if I didn't release them now, I never would, because I've gone on to write so many other songs, and they still had a bit of a special place in my heart, and I really wanted to release them. So I chose them. And then the other songs on it, I kind of knew that I wanted to include them onto the EP. They were songs that I've been playing quite a bit live just around Sydney, and I'd gotten the best feedback from. So I was like, oh, okay, these must be my best songs. So I included them as well.
I always think it must be a tender moment for an artist to play a new original for an audience, and then because the feedback is right there. It's not like someone's going to email you and tell you whether they like it or not. Is that something that as an artist you've become used to, or do you actually like it that there's feedback right there?
I do really like it. At the start, I go to an open mic pretty much every Thursday just to try new material, and that's where I kind of felt like I had learned how to sing in front of people. And at first I'd get scared playing new songs. I thought, oh, what if they don't like it? But now it's so obvious to me, I think, when people like it or not, because the room, it's a great room and everyone's like really nice and respectful, and like it's a great audience, but you can tell when people like keep talking and they're not that engaged, or when people just stop and watch, and then the songs where people just stop and watch and don't talk and it's silence, they're the ones I'm like, okay, I need to keep working on those. They're the ones that are the good ones. And then the other ones, you can just kind of tell people aren't interested, so just forget about them.
But as you said, you've written a lot of songs since the EP. So I imagine for you, it's as you go to play sets, not that aren't an open mic night where you're actually doing a set, you've got your EP songs, you've got new songs. It must be tempting to just go with the new stuff. It's like, oh, the other ones are old now.
Definitely. I would love to just play all new songs, but I feel like, especially also just releasing an EP, I need to play the songs on the EP, but it's still fun.
So recording the EP, as you did, because as I said, you released your first ever track last year, you already have an EP out. That's a good piece of work. It does take a lot of preparation to get songs into a studio. Did you pick a producer and go in and record all 5, or were you doing one at a time?
So I worked with Tim McCartney, who produced all the songs, but we first recorded just my first single, Ballerina. We recorded that in January of 2022. And then I released that. And then after I'd released that, I was like, okay, I want to do an EP. I just want to like smash it out and get it done. I was so excited. So then I went back to Tim and we did the other 4 songs, and then included Ballerina, my first single, on the EP. So yeah, it wasn't planned. I didn't plan to actually release an EP. I just, I was going to do singles, but then I just felt like I wanted to have a collection of songs. I didn't want to just do the singles thing, which it doesn't really matter what you do, but I really wanted an EP and just like a few songs together, just to be like, oh, this is my first little bit of music. Yeah.
And it was your first experience in the studio, as you said, recording Ballerina. I always wondered with songwriters whether having a producer there basically semi-dismantling your work, I suppose, to find a way to record it, if that's a bit odd, especially if it's your first time.
No, I really enjoyed it. Tim's amazing to work with, and I knew that he had the song's best interests at heart. So when, he's selecting things, or when he's suggesting things, I knew that it was for the song and not because he thinks I'm bad or anything like that. Like, I knew that it was, a collaborative effort. But yeah, it was so much fun, and it was definitely an experience that I'll remember forever. It was really cool. It was fun.
I wonder whether having gone to uni and having your songs marked essentially actually helped prepare you for having feedback in the studio and having him, as you said, suggesting things that were for the good of the song.
Yeah, it definitely could have. I guess that's all I knew. I wasn't writing songs my whole life, holding them so close to my chest and then releasing them to someone. So maybe that's why it didn't feel too harsh.
Yeah. So you mentioned the guitar in the corner from when you were about 14, and you've been singing a lot longer than that. When did you actually start performing?
I did. So when I was maybe like 12 or 13, I did a few singing Eisteddfods. I did 2, and then I hated it. It was so scary. I actually did very well in them, but I didn't like the whole competition thing, and everyone was taking it very seriously. I felt like I was on The Voice or on Australian Idol, and we're just in some random little RSL. Like, it was very intense. So they were my first live performance, I guess. But then it wasn't until after uni finished that I started with open mic nights, which then led to doing gigs just in bars and small venues and stuff around Sydney. It was, so that's probably like 2021, around then it would have happened. Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned, you're in Sydney. I live in Sydney. The music scene is not what it used to be in terms of the number of venues that are available, although there are some places where you can play, particularly I think if it's you and a guitar, but that must be quite daunting to actually set out. Was that not that long ago for you for the first time to try to find gigs in a city this size where there actually isn't the culture anymore of live music that there used to be. So how do you even begin to do that? Or you just think, well, I have to do it, off I go?
Yeah. No, it was definitely daunting, and it still is. It's terrifying to me. But yeah, I just kind of was like, oh, I've got to do it. And just, yeah, met people online who said, oh, come play here, and or I did the same, message them, and yeah, and then it just happens. I just got them. I don't know, but it was very, very scary.
How far afield have you gone within the Sydney area, I guess?
Not far. Not far. I'm still making my way around. There's still some venues and stuff that I would love to play, and obviously do my own shows there, but even just support slots and stuff, there's many. But yeah, it does suck that we don't have that culture in Sydney. There's so much good live music as well, and so much good local talent. And if we had the places for people to play and the audience, then it would be so cool, but it's a shame.
Yeah. The main reason I was asking about how far afield you'd gone was I was envisaging hours in a car just to get to Campbelltown, for example.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of extra time for an artist.
For sure. Yeah. No, I haven't done that yet. But I probably will. If I got a gig somewhere far away, I definitely would go. I wouldn't turn it down for the distance, because yeah, otherwise it'd be no gigs.
That's true. Now, are there any regular venues that you play at?
I've played at the Great Club twice, which I felt really lucky to do that. I play at Staves Brewery a lot in Glebe, so that's where they have the open mic, but they also do put on gigs there, which I played there a few times, which they've been such a huge support for me. They've been amazing. I really, really appreciate all of their help. Where else have I played? I played Lazy Bones a few times. I'm playing again there next month, so that's exciting. Yeah, just a few.
And people can keep an eye on your social media, presumably, to find out where you're playing.
Yeah. I have it all on there. I do. Yeah.
So for the rest of this year, do you have any more recording plans? Probably not, because you've just released an EP, but it sounds like you'll keep writing, you'll keep playing. But I imagine, given that you did like the recording experience, that you will work towards some more recording and releasing.
Definitely. I really want to get into co-writing sessions. I did my first one a few months ago, and I loved it, and I'd never written a song with anyone before. So I kind of want to do that for the next few months, just try and get some more co-writing sessions and learn from other people. And then I definitely want to record again. I don't know when I will, because this, but I'm already thinking like, oh, okay, I'll do this for the next EP, or maybe make an album or something. But I think I just need to chill and write for a bit, and then definitely keen to get back into the studio.
Yeah, it's interesting that you are very keen on co-writing, because someone who's used to writing on their own, it could have gone completely the other way, and you would have thought, oh no, I'm a one-trick pony, so to speak.
I was definitely scared of that before I went into the session. I was thinking, oh, like, what if I just freeze up, and what if I have nothing to say and it's not how I work? And to be fair, I did freeze up, and it took me a while to loosen up and come up with something. But I think, again, with practice, I think I would learn to really like it. So I want to get more practice with that.
Well, I think you've done a stellar job writing on your own for this EP, because it is a really lovely collection of songs, and I've listened to them a few times, and each time I find different angles on the stories, if that makes sense. So I encourage people to listen to them many times. But in the meantime, Steph, it's been lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much.